Royals, huh? Boy, are these ever the redheaded stepchild of skateboard trucks. Now, do they deserve that reputation? I don't know. I rode Royals in the past, and I actually always liked them. They just kind of reminded me of like a Venture or a Thunder, like a Venture Thunder Low way back in the day when I rode them in the early 2000s. And if you go watch my brother's part in North, almost his whole part in that video was on Royals. So it's not like they were a bad truck. I just think as the popularity of Crail Tap dwindled in the sort of 2010s, I think anything associated with it went that direction too. Now, fortunately for them, I think they're really on the upswing right now. I think they've been doing a great job with the videos. I think they've assembled a nice new team. And in my opinion, it's nice that there's just actually skater-owned brands that are that old. I mean, they're pushing 30 years here, guys, so that's pretty good. Anyways, that has nothing to do with the trucks, really just why maybe some people have hated on them so hard. I don't think they've necessarily been a bad truck or suffered from quality concerns any more than any of the other brands. Like every single truck brand has their own unique problems. Now, before I really dive into this, I only skated these for 4 sessions, so I can't speak to their longevity. And I'm pretty light on things. I grind the crap out of them, but I don't break stuff very easily, so can't attest to that. But I can tell you about these trucks. So first off, let's get into them. All right, the weight is 357 grams. So that's pretty light. That's right on par with, say, a Thunder. The height, 52 millimeter axle height to center of axle from the bottom right here. Again, that's really similar to Thunder. But aside from those two things, that's about where the similarity ends. And I think these are pretty much their own unique truck. So the wheelbase on these is directly in between an Indy and a Thunder. So it's not as far as a Thunder or a Venture with that really hefty pop, and it's not as small as an Indy or an Ace, which the pop feel starts to get a lot lighter. It's somewhere right in between, which is actually really nice. And believe it or not, I even got the digital angle gauge to measure what the Kingpin does, and it's at 15 degrees, which is one of the most upright ones. So it's definitely its own unique truck with its own unique geometry. So on my first session on these, the first thing I noticed is the bushings are really soft. So if you like loose trucks, which is on trend, a lot of people do, you will like the bushings in these and the pivot cups. These are a gushy, soft, really nice feeling ride, actually. I had to crank them down to about 1 or 2 threads showing to get them tight enough for me to actually ride them. And I ride my trucks medium. So if I could say one thing, if I have Crail's ear, I would say maybe think about producing another set of bushings, like an aftermarket bushing that's a little harder than these for some of your heftier, more faithful riders in their 40s and 40 plus. You know, some of those guys that have been buying your products this whole time are going to be on the heftier side and might like a bit of a harder bushing option. Okay, but getting back to my first session on these, which I didn't film, but what I noticed is the grind feel is kind of hard like a Venture High, and it has that same sort of upright look to it and a pretty skinny hanger on top. So you're definitely going to need to skate pretty well waxed crusty curbs. If you're skating something really crunchy, you got to go real fast and lean way back on that thing. And then it'll go for sure. Like they definitely go on anything well seasoned. I didn't have any problems grinding these. But again, a dry crusty curb, these need a little extra help. And they also have that kind of slightly, if anybody knows that like slightly tinny acoustic that Venture has, it has that same thing. So these really in a lot of ways are like if a Venture and a Thunder had a baby, this truck would come out. The base plate right here is pretty thin. So again, on super crusty ledges, you could feel it being a little bit catchy. But when you skate these things on anything smooth, anything again, well seasoned, really good. So my second session on these trucks, the bushings are not susceptible to the cold. It was really cold that day and they were still way too loose for me. Again, that was the session where I actually really cranked them down and got them feeling a little bit better for me. I just don't like seeing so many threads on my Kingpin. But in order to be able to actually film some stuff and not just be all over the place and seeing the board wobble and missing all the pop on all my tricks, I did have to crank them down a little. So I can definitely say that the pop feel on them is pretty light and snappy. Like again, it's like somewhere between an Indy and a Thunder. It's not too hefty, it's not too light. It's like a really nice pop feel. For me, on a 14.5 wheelbase that was kind of a steep board, it felt a little bit too hard. When I got these down onto a 14.25 wheelbase, the pop feel was like 100% perfect. In fact, I liked it better than my current setup. These trucks felt more stable and the pop was nicer. It was just that perfect place, which is why I'm not changing my setups anymore. The less you know about how other things feel, the less you're gonna change it. So I've been staying on the same setup for a while, just riding these a little bit for like a session here or there to film. But yeah, I can say in all honesty, like I actually liked the way the setup I had with these felt better than my regular one. So the less time I spent on it, the better. Because I don't want the madness anymore. Okay, now let's get into the turn. So the turn is not too tight. I didn't feel like it was lacking. Like I would go from indies onto these and they wouldn't feel too sluggish. In fact, what was happening is they felt really nice and stable, which is again, one of the things that I was enjoying about them more than my current board. So when I would ride these and get back onto my current board, my indies would feel squirrely, which took about 10 minutes to go away. Now, in a lot of my older videos, I would talk about pinch. I didn't really notice anything special or unique about that. They pinched. It wasn't like a Thunder where you're like, why is this pinching weirdly good? But it wasn't like a tall truck that leans really far back that was like, oh, my wheels are too round and I'm falling off of everything. It was somewhere in between. And on most of the things I skated, even with worn down 52 millimeter classics with a round edge, like I was hanging on to stuff. I really wasn't having any problems. So, I don't know, pinch, fine, they pinched. Transition, I'm not well enough to skate any transition, and they're trucks. They skated on transition, they're fine. Why do you ask so many questions? Why do you have to know everything? And speaking of having to know everything, they manualed too. I totally tried them on manuals and I could manual. Okay, to be a little more serious, the manual was fine, especially on the nice mellow board I had them on. I wasn't rolling up the windows too much. They were both first try. Whatever. I can manual on them. I'm sure you can too. Unless you can't manual, that's your problem, not the truck's. Okay, so guys, to summarize, I mean, I don't know what to say about these. Like, they're a really good truck. If you hate Crail Tap or you hate Royal, you're just being annoying, kind of like the crow in the background. They're a good truck. I don't see any like major flaws in them. You know, they felt really good. They made me like them a little bit more than my current setup, which was super annoying. And yeah, I don't know. If you're interested, try them. Go indulge your madness. I don't care. It's your problem now. I just do whatever I do. But I can say to, you know, the people that redesign these Royals, good job. This is a good truck. What else do you want me to say? Like, I couldn't find anything negative to say about them other than the slightly hard grind, which is, you know, again, Ventures have a hard grind and that's nothing out of the scope of like any of your big major truck brands. So, you know, that and the super soft bushings and pivot cups, which are like really weirdly nice. In fact, probably better than most of the other trucks I've tried. So again, good job. I don't sell these things. I don't know. I want to put them in my other trucks. They're really good. Anyways, I'm done. That's it. Now you know about the Royals. And this will probably be the last truck review I ever do on this channel. I may never do another truck review again. No promises. Shouldn't be speaking in absolutes, but yeah, I'm done. Why are you still watching this? Shouldn't you be out skateboarding? It's a beautiful day. It's January. I barely even need to be in a sweatshirt today. It's amazing. I gotta end this video, have lunch and go skate. I want to go skate. You do whatever you're gonna do. Have a good one, you guys.